This is episode 20 of a podcast of four teary grown men. Neil, Kosi, Danny and I will start our grieving process. This is Andy Takes That Chance group therapy.
Has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
All good things must come to an end. However, describing David Wagner's tenure as good would be to undervalue an unlikely but magical ride full of emotion, positivity, and one that even the most morose of fan would have vastly enjoyed. This was a man who transcended the role of manager, whose string of catchphrases, positive talking, great football and hard work not only re-energised and brought together what can often be a fractious supporter base, but inspired and created new supporters who fell in love with the club and the message that he delivered. We believed and he achieved. A man who entrenched himself in the community that loved him, understood it, valued it, and built an identity and image off of the back of it. A man whose positive enthusiasm would leave everybody itching for more as we all hung off of every word in every interview. A man who made all of our wildest footballing dreams come true by delivering not one, but two footballing miracles. A man who, in our opinion, goes down as the greatest manager in 111 years of Huddersfield Town history.
And every single one of you should never forget, it doesn't count how big you are. It doesn't count how experienced you are. It doesn't count how nice you are. If you have passion, desire, you have no limits. No limits.
I'll roll back to the 5th of November 2015. Neil, Chris Powell had just left the club.
Thank God.
Supporters were leaving in droves. We'd just been beaten by our local rivals under Mark Lillis in front of only 17,000 fans, around 13,000 home fans. Just talk us through your immediate thoughts when this unknown German from Borussia Dortmund, Zwei, was appointed.
This isn't with hindsight, but I was absolutely delighted. Never heard of him, but that was what delighted me. The fact that we're going to go down a completely different path away from your run-of-the-mill, everyday, journeyman, 100 club managers. It was just the start of an exciting new era, hopefully. And obviously, what came to pass was just that.
And we all went to the Sheffield Wednesday game, David Wagner's first game. So initially he came in, there was an international break. They all went off to, I think it was Marbella, didn't they? And there was a little... This is at the point when Dave Threlfall-Sykes and the media team started to up their game as well. Not only did David Wagner come in and immediately lift the players, the fans, cause that sudden peak of interest, the media, our international profile. The media team also up theirs, and there were little videos of him shouting at Joe Lolly while they're in Marbella, come on Joe, work harder, work harder. And Kosi, we all went to Sheffield Wednesday and we saw something completely different in terms of how the team played and set up, and a whole new fresh outlook on how to play football.
We did. We walked out of there defeated, but I walked out of there thinking, wow, this could be the start. I mean, if you think of some of the tools he had, with no disrespect, Ishmael Miller, we were really struggling, with putting the sides together. I mean, you mentioned that Sheffield Wednesday game, but I don't know if you were there, Neil, but I've just got the photo up here to remind me. 23rd of November 2015, David Wagner and Dean Hall came to Millbridge Working Men's Club.
They did. I was there.
And it was absolutely packed out. I've never seen anything like it. People sat, kind of couldn't even get in. And he was incredible. Like, the guy just sold us a vision. I mean, I remember someone kind of mocking Ishmael Miller, and he shouted the guy down, did Wagner, saying, give this guy a chance. He's part of us. He's part of our spirit. And I remember coming out of that meeting, Neil, so energised and thinking this could be, obviously, never believe where we'd end up, but this could be something totally different. And pull me down if I'm wrong, but the Middlesbrough game, I don't know if it was after the Sheffield Wednesday game or even a couple of nights before the Wagner, interview at the Mill Bridge, but the Middlesbrough game, when I first walked out of there thinking, wow, we had what possession did we have? I know it doesn't count for everything as we know, but it's 74% possession, 70%.
It were ridiculous.
They
were going up,
smashing everyone
and
up.
We
in that
absolutely
division.
murdered them and lost 2-0.
Yeah, we 2. But again, you thought, wow, this guy is doing something with players that really weren't good enough for.
Well, it'd been Davidson straight off at Sheffield Wednesday. Played Kyle Dempsey at left back.
Yeah, of course.
I remember that from looking and thinking, wow, this is different for a start.
But I mean, that Millbridge one, we've had, Q&As before with a lot of, kind of different managers. But that, I walked out there and remember walking back up the road thinking, wow, that just feels different. This man feels like we've never had for a long time, maybe since Peter Jackson probably, a leader.
The thing that got me about that night were that when he were talking, if you're in a meeting like that and there's a manager talking about everyone else, and it's that busy, there's little pockets of people having a natter between themselves and whatever. Not that night. When he spoke, bear in mind, when he'd been here a couple of weeks, he spoke, everybody were glued to him. Everybody took in every word that he said. It was just so, it was believable straight away.
His personality as well, Neil, just kind of shone through. He just charmed. I mean, in a Hickman like, everyone kind of like there, the spade's a spade, and Huddersfield have been having so many poor seasons. That part of me wonders, wow, what kind of questions he's going to get. But, he tackled everyone. Big smile on his face and fit pictures with everyone. And I just thought, I wonder if it could be the dawn of, of better days, for sure.
So I remember Sheffield Wednesday away, and my first memory was getting a goal kick quite early on and looking at my mate and going, look at where the fullbacks are, look at where they are. And I just remember, I think it was Dempsey and was it Smith on the other one?
Yeah.
And they were pushed right up past the halfway line, and I'd not seen a fullback past the halfway line since Lee Clark, probably. And it was incredible, Jonathan Hogg dropping in and half-backing between the two centre-backs. It was amazing. It was like proper football had finally come to Huddersfield. And the Middlesbrough game as well, Danny, where we've taken them apart, we'd lost 2-0, but we could see a direction. We could see where things were leading.
Yeah, I'd only heard of him from just before he was appointed. He was linked with the Liverpool assistant job because of the Klopp connection. But I remember thinking, this is great. It's something new. We needed something different. I think Dean Hoyle at that stage looked to be a little bit sort of, where do I go from here? How do I progress them? And fair play to Stuart Webber. He's brought Wagner in, and what I worried about though was how does somebody like that come in and work with these players who've been so poor under Powell? How does he get the best out of them? He's going to surely need to bring in his own men, which obviously he did in the end. But yeah, that Middlesbrough game, it was just a completely different style. It was unbelievable.
So from Middlesbrough, we moved on to Birmingham City, where David Wagner masterminded, if you like, his first victory for the club. The first goal in that game, the first minute, a move, Kosi, starting from goalkeeper to Joe Lolly in the first minute. Football that we'd not seen for a long time.
Yeah, that was the difference for me. I remember a decent away following going there. I mean, Birmingham's not always a great away day, to be honest, but people were intrigued. They were seeing stuff different that we've not seen before. Possession more than the opposition. Nice football. And I remember just thinking, this is with players that he's not brought in. So you're thinking, get through to January. You could see what he was trying to do. You could see his ideas for then. And obviously, you want to see some results. Some results were up and down, to be honest with you. That game against Birmingham was obviously a great away win. I think when we lost then the week after, I think it was against Bristol, then we beat Rotherham, but we lost to Brentford. But I think everybody was buying into what David Wagner was bringing, and with intriguements, what we can do kind of moving forward in January as well. And like you said, Carl Dempsey playing left back against Sheffield Wednesday. What could we do with a kind of a decent left back as well? So it was just good to be excited again about Huddersfield Town, because that had long gone under the previous regime. So yeah, the away followings were building up, and there was a lot of interest, and the crowds were going up, and yeah, exciting times even at that early stage with inconsistent results.
One way to endear yourself to Huddersfield Town fans is is to win a local derby. It's something Chris Powell never achieved in his tenure. But going to Elland Road after 4 successive defeats to them and spanking them 4-1 was a great way to get people on board, Danny.
Yeah, it was a good game, that one. I remember we'd had I think we missed a penalty, hadn't we, earlier on?
Naki Wells, and he had the
missed a
chance
penalty,
against him,
and
yeah.
then they scored, and you're sort of thinking, oh, here we go again, despite like the promising signs that we're going to struggle. But yeah, that really endeared him, especially his celebrations afterwards. That's when you thought, he gets this, he gets what we're about. I mean, if you go in there and upset Leeds fans, that's fantastic. I can take that. But yeah, like you say, it wasn't just that Leeds game, but all the Yorkshire games that we'd had under Chris Powell. And I know he'd done the whole wearing the flat cap thing and so on, but I don't think we never really felt that sort of connection to Chris Powell. I didn't have a problem with him as a person. He was like a genuinely nice person, but in terms of a football manager, I've never felt that connection with him.
Didn't want to be here, did he, really?
No, it was sort of that, you got that impression that he'd made such an effort to say, look, I'm from London, but here I am wearing a flat cap and so on, and you just thought...
I thought he tried too hard to be liked.
It was forced.
Yeah,
some of that was
it
forced,
was,
I felt.
Nice bloke, but
crap football manager.
for us.
I think I remember that as well. We played Hull City a few weeks after their promotion season. I went with my friend who kind of work with, and he said, wow, because he's a big German football fan, so he was kind of, what's this fuss about? And I think that was Rajiv van der Parra's first game, if I remember rightly, and that as well. And I remember that game, Van der Parra, wow, we looked like we had something there, direct, fast, exciting winger. I think got subbed off before the end, and we drew 2-2. We thought we should have beaten them. I think we were beating them, and they scored a late equaliser. But again, you could see the foundations there of something different, something exciting, and we'd given the team that got promoted such a good game and that as well. But it was so exciting to watch Huddersfield Town again.
And then we moved on to the summer, his first real proper tilter. We'd had little to what we knew. We had players from Germany, from mostly Europe, coming over to watch us at Christmas and January, February. None the wiser that future cult heroes, legends, Michael Hefele, Chris Schindler, Chris Lerver were coming over. They'd agreed to join.
Ivan Paurovic.
Big Ivan.
Ivan the Terrible. And he... You've thrown me now, Danny, with Ivan Paurovic, but we'll move on nicely.
Everyone makes mistakes.
And this really seemed to be a bit of an awakening for the club. We go back to the Michael Hefele video, Neil, of him in his dressing gown in the summer. So that you could say the club was fun again. The club had been boring for years. It had been desperate to get out of League One, and then it had become boring. And then all of a sudden, there's fun. And Danny, you in particular interacted with that video and did the giraffes on, and Dave Threlfall-Sykes has done a response, and it was brilliant. It was great to see.
Yeah, that was a good time really, because previously they'd have just shied away from that and they wouldn't have mentioned it, but they embraced it. I mean, that wasn't Michael Hefele in the first place walking past. It was some.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, that's what DTS said, so I'll take his word for it. But we thought that's just some one of the hotel guests, and it was a female, as it happens, walking past.
It's an Australian woman or something, wasn't it?
But we still ran with it, and they were happy to do it. And when you've got Michael Hefele there willing to get involved as well, you just thought, again, they get it and they're on board with this. So yeah, that was fun. That
I think another thing that you've got to remember as well, and we had such lift off in the first game against Brentford, was the advent of the fans behind the goal. Obviously now kind of become the casual law. To me, that was a massive moment, because we had, for Dean all to kind of, jump through hoops and, the safety and what have you. We've seen so much the issues, trying to get the fans. They've done the hard yards for me behind the other goal in some horrendous conditions. But David Wagner was so supportive of that. And that was
Dean
massive.
Oil, he was basically trying to do stuff that Wagner wanted doing, wasn't he? He was backing him with literally everything.
That were a difficult start. That Brentford had tonked us the previous game, last game of the season.
Poor
we had
Lloyd.
Newcastle and Villa just come down, and you're sort of looking at that thinking, well, do we get past these three fixtures and then start? That's like our famous thing from this season. But
5 wins from the first 6 and a draw at Villa
Well,
Park.
I remember looking when fixtures came out, and his first 3 away games were Newcastle, Villa and Leeds. And you're thinking, Couldn't get much tougher than that.
No.
And we come out with 7 points. And to be honest, for me, the one that stands out, obviously Jack Payne, late winner at Newcastle, brilliant. But the one for me that sort of should have given us a big indication of how the season were going to go were Effler at Villa.
Yeah.
That was
He's
great.
come on up front with 10 minutes left. Keeper's come out, clattered ball up his backside, and all of a sudden it's in back at net. And I remember that night there, and me and Kosi, we were sat virtually right next to Villa fans, weren't we?
Yeah, they were incredible.
And the noise that night for Town fans, and it just felt, everything about it felt different. The players' reaction to fans,
Tommy
that's when I
Smith,
first really noticed that the players were getting as near fans as they could and celebrating, and it stemmed from there, and it's all down to him, innit? It's all down to Wagner.
What we had then that we don't appear to have now is plenty of options from the bench in those first few games. Like Payne was a substitute.
Yeah.
Hefler and Naki Wells in that Villa game came on, and we were just going at teams. I mean, Villa had bossed us that first half.
First half,
when we made those changes, they looked. I mean, you could see that goal coming, not necessarily off his backside like that, but we had them worried.
I remember Naki Wells came on, and Naki Wells was brilliant that night when he came on.
Yeah.
It was just the energy of the team, Neil. It just, there were guys just running the FLA thing you mentioned. Then the fullbacks were bombing forward. I know a lot of made the Klopp connection, heavy metal football, etc. But it was exactly what it said on the tin.
It couldn't have been any different from watching Powell's team, could it?
We beat Barnsley, didn't we? I think in the last minute we were getting so many late goals and things. That kind of stuff builds belief. But that didn't happen by fluke. I remember a lot of fans kind of say, "Oh, you're lucky getting these late goals."
No,
you don't get lucky when you get that many of them.
It garnered that team spirit with the pre-season, doing all the. Obviously, it's well spoken about the Sweden camping trip, etc. But it helped to breed that confidence and that team unity. And you could see it every game. You could see it, and they were fighting for each other. And late goals, Man U weren't lucky when they won all those leagues with late goals.
It's not lucky; it's mental strength.
It's mental strength, and Town just never ever that season give in at all. No. And late goals were a reward, not luck.
Stadium erupts. I mean, Wolves, Van La Parra in front of their own fans.
Brilliant,
mate. Honestly, you could just reel because. Even when you say it, you can kind of flash back to how exciting it was. Everything that it's not now, and it was. I mean, Alan Moy, Ellen Road, the fire bombs going off in
just being
incredible moments.
Watching Town and
we were so
having
much
witnessed some at Dross from before, just seeing something, and you could tell within 20 minutes at first match that Aaron Moy was the best player we've had.
Tell that Oldham friendly.
You could,
We said like everything you were doing, his touch, his passing were just effortless. It was a friendly match against Oldham, and we said that's our player at season there. Because what he were doing, it didn't matter who he was playing against. It was Oldham. It was things. It was controlling the ball out of the air, just passing it
easy.
Perfectly weighted
with ease.
Just looked effortless. Yeah. And you just thought, this is quality that we're
I just remember got a Reading. Who was sent off? Was it?
Well, Van La
Parra. But we absolutely battered him. We should have got definitely something out of the game.
We were on Millbridge that day. Me and Danny came on Millbridge, and you came out of that and you'd gutted because you'd lost because it was blatant robbery. But you could just see that it were. You weren't going away from there thinking, "Oh, is this start at downfall?" No, it's just not.
But when you first started to believe it, and I remember the song. 1st of October 2016, I remember filming a goal, whether that should be done or not, I don't know, at Ipswich, Schindler scores, and I remember the chant, and it got louder and louder, we're on our way,
Yeah.
I remember getting a train home, we're on our way, we were all had a drink, did we really believe it? But we were on this side at the start of something. For me, that was
the belief in that song just grew and grew, though, didn't it?
So I remember so many tweets, top of the league Saturdays, and people were just loving being part of Huddersfield Town. This guy had changed so much.
So with the good run comes the first slump under David Wagner. So from the 16th of October to the 28th of November, we lost 5 out of 7. All over social media, there's fans of other clubs posting
wheels
pictures
are coming off, etc.
Formula One cars with the wheels coming off. And
I think the standout one in that spell when we lost against Wigan on TV, didn't we? Stankovic played, and what's
Yannick
his name?
Wiltshut, wasn't it?
Wiltshut, yeah. He ruined him twice.
We did have a stunner though against Derby when Wagner famously ran down, the last minute.
Yeah.
I remember McLaren were kind of had his nose knocked out of joint. But then, that was another thing about him. He didn't care. He were on that pitch side. I remember there had been a lot of controversy over it. The media, should he be doing this? Should he be doing that? But what I liked about this guy, he didn't care.
No,
he did not care.
I'll tell you what though, Kosi, when David Wagner does it for Huddersfield, people complain, but when Jurgen Klopp does it for Liverpool, people love it. It's just, we're not going to turn this into a Big Six bias thing again, but
I'll give you a better example.
It's
I mean, it's this lot down road again, but they were all crying over Wagner doing that against Leeds, and when he did it against Derby, and it's disgraceful and disrespectful, whatever else. They were all getting really, really giddy about Bielsa doing it in a training session when Bamford scored. Come on.
hypocrites. You'll never find a more hypocritical fan base.
I've got to be honest, that Wigan game on that Monday night, I was a bit concerned there that, I know he was saying the wheels come up, but the way the goals were appalling, weren't they? That Wild shot made us look, it looked like Ibrahimovic that night. And I walked out of there thinking, maybe we have peaked, maybe it's going to bottom out just to mid-table. But I was enjoying the football.
Yeah. It just proved that night that Stankovic wasn't ready. Yeah. That's all that came out of that, really.
Like I say, he's only turned 23 the other day, and he's had a serious knee injury, and so maybe next year we could see a bit more from him. But
that little, this would have a bad result, but you want in any doubt that week after would bounce back, because we just did.
And bounce back we did. After that, we only lost one of the next 15, and 11 of those were wins.
The standout for me were
including the
Norwich away at Christmas.
Yeah. That was a fantastic one.
I think the Burton game a few nights before, where we didn't play well at all, but we'd won, and we had an habit of grinding stuff out with something we just can't do now.
What was amazing though about that Burton one, Kosi, was I got there 5 minutes before kickoff and I couldn't get in the stand.
And
it was
incredible,
packed.
That tennis.
It was packed, absolutely heaving.
Safe, but that's another story.
Exactly. I only got in because people came out to get beer. Get some beers after 25-30 minutes.
Yeah, we were lucky. We were sat on that little section at side.
Yeah, stewards were sending us from one place to the next, down to the next gangway, and just saying, it's full, you can't come in. But it's like, how do you manage that?
I still think that's probably the greatest sponsor I've ever seen, though, when you look across at the Burton home end and it's Don's Caravans over at the other end. I thought that was
everything
brilliant.
he did turn a goal. Remember the Rochdale Cup game in January?
Yeah.
Effley.
Yeah,
well, that was Colin Quaner's first game, wasn't it? First game, first goal. And brought F on up front at half time.
Yeah. I mean, I know they said he
actually got his team at week as a striker.
Yeah. He got a FIFA card, didn't he?
Yeah,
it was brilliant. Wasn't it? All the town fans down that side, he was doing his claw thing. I just thought, this is, because that, before two massive games, it's probably going to come on in a minute, Brighton and Leeds at home, which really, I know, I'm nicking your job, but that had me dreaming of top two, that.
Yeah.
So I've labelled it the magic 12 days. So within 12 days, 2nd of February, Huddersfield 3, Brighton 1. 5th of February, Huddersfield 2, Leeds 1. Only a couple of days after going full throttle against Brighton, we did the same against Leeds. And I remember afterwards, social media was swathing with Leeds fans asking for Huddersfield players to be drug tested. Serious as well. Yeah, asking for them to be drug tested because there's no way a team can do that, do two sets of 90 minutes like that. And after that, 11th of February, QPR 1, Huddersfield 2. Good performance again. And then the game which made me believe...
That was Naki Wells again, wasn't it?
It was.
How many games?
Me, one of the most pessimistic fans who have only ever really known disappointment as a fan, apart from the Warnock and Jacko years. After this game against Rotherham, one of my favourite games of the season, that's when I thought, do you know what? We're in the top 6 here. This is happening. Something's happening.
I actually missed all 3 of those games because I just had an operation. So I watched the Brighton game in hospital in Bradford, and I'd warned the 3 chaps I was sharing a room with. I got it on I managed to get Sky Go laptop and whatever else, and so I'm watching it. I was sit first goal goes in, so I've waking up. I was woke up, walked up, and no stopping me. Then they equalise. You think, here we go. Yeah. So you think, here we go. We've let them back in, but we murdered them. I'm sat there. I was drooling. It was just ridiculous.
We were sensational.
Absolutely unbelievable. I'm thinking, Huddersfield Town. This don't happen to us, And then to go and do it again. What, 3 or 4 days after?
The Leeds
in arguably biggest game at season.
We could have battered them as well.
Yeah.
On possession.
The Leeds game were incredible. I were away, and everyone would be shocked to know in Spain that day. I'll never forget. It was a 12 o'clock kick-off, and it was 1:45, and people, I wasn't watching it, and they were texting saying, we're playing well, blah, blah, blah. And you always believed. And then I got a text that said, Efeli has... It was like, hang on a minute, game had probably finished about 10 minutes. Efeli scored and Wagner is fighting with Monk. And I just thought, hang on a minute, someone's winding me up here. This isn't happening. This does real life. And I looked on Twitter and the hatred from the Leeds fan. I thought, we've won it, haven't we?
Yeah.
And what a moment that was. Incredible.
Some of the best 2 minutes you'll ever see. Drama. Heffley onside, played on by that big lug that they all love.
Yeah.
And then a cult hero doing what a proper cult hero does. And then Gary Monk having a monk on.
That interview was fantastic.
He coined the entire catchphrase for the season in one mistake in an interview.
The Rotherham game, though, Valentine's night, wasn't it? And I remember, again, we didn't play right well. We seemed to be that knack. We didn't play well. I remember them getting in front. We were almost
we were 2-1 down late on.
Yeah.
Then Kachunga's nicked one at near post and he header.
The scenes of Smith and the celebration for me were brilliant because Wagner obviously had to watch his step and Smith, I'm thinking, he's wheeling back towards Wagner. I'm thinking, Tommy, what are you doing?
And then he did full turn, didn't he?
Back the away and going, Ben, absolutely nuts. And
it was vintage.
And honestly, we walked out of there. I think we still were about 5 points behind the top two, but we believed then that it could happen.
Well, I couldn't go to that because I was on pot on my leg and stuff, and I had a friend in that end, Aaron, and
it was live streaming.
It was live streaming game, so I was watching it as it was happening, and that went in. And it was just, I'm all over the place in house on one leg, and then he put phone back on us, stand just all over the place.
It's just
unbelievable.
I mean, he changed the team for Man City, who were all conquering again, and we got 0-0, incredible.
And to be fair, unlucky to have one disallowed. We should have beat them.
Billing that it disallowed. So we were technically. People always go on about this -2 goal difference and everything, which is such a stupid stick to beat us with because we finished 5th, not 6th. We've had enough points. And we were genuinely the last team to push the top two. Newcastle
we were the only team to push top two.
Newcastle were panicking.
In
they ended up winning the league quite fairly well, but Newcastle were panicking come April. Yeah. And when Colin Quana scored against Derby, they were absolutely fretting.
Yeah, meltdown.
But what did you think against Bristol, guys? Sorry to take it down a notch. I remember tuning into that thinking, we seem to have this great knack of getting beat, and you think maybe the wheels are coming off. Newcastle were another one at home where we were dreadful there, wasn't it? Fully, and was it?
It was just a shambles all night. That, to be fair,
some of that refereeing in that game.
But the Bristol City one, I was just Tammy Abraham destroyed us, and I just thought, but we just seemed to come back from that. How did he get? How could he pick them up near like that when we were so bad?
Do you know what
they just believed, didn't they?
The Fulham game,
completely
away.
Because I remember thinking after that Bristol game, Jonathan Hogg,
I thought he was out for the season, and I thought that's going to.
And he made an amazing recovery, did Jonathan Hogg? It's almost like Wagner's got Mr. Miyagi healing hands.
A week after,
it was about 7 to 10 days. Yeah. He might have missed one, and Kosi will fact check that he's got the fixtures up, but to come back after thinking you broke your neck was amazing. And it just
think about what you've said. Then
they generally thought he'd done something with a vertebrae in his neck, and he was on the training pitch a few days later, which was that summed up the way things were going for us. It was just amazing, and what rejuvenated the fan base a little bit in that game was a certain Blake the Snake Welton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did his assassination of Mark Hudson, which gave us all a somebody to focus on rather than worrying about the results.
Unwittingly, he took it away from the 4-0 defeat, didn't he?
So he probably did us a favour without realising that.
And he was a proper weapon, that lad.
I think, again, I'm sorry to bring it down another peg, but Fulham at home, that we thought we could be meeting them in the playoffs. We walked out of there, I am thinking we've got to avoid these at all costs. And then maybe we did get kind of lucky, but Mr. S. Malone, obviously, so wonderful.
Real winners, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was great that game.
Him and Johansson, awesome.
Yeah. So you can throw full away into that as well.
It just made me look like, I'm not saying we're runners' race because we're not, but I don't know how we'll come out of that ground thinking that I'm worried here.
They outnumber on us, I think, same way as we outnumber on Brighton. That their style against ours just seemed to do for us.
They pressed high, didn't they? And we couldn't cope with it. I'm with you because I think if we'd have got them in the playoffs, I don't think we'd have been going up. I think it was just a style, like you said, Danny, a style thing that they had our number.
Yeah, and Reading bored them to death, didn't they?
And
Yeah,
then he got
they did.
Birmingham away, where he got absolutely. This is what I love about Wagner. He didn't care. He made all them changes. He got absolutely destroyed in the media, didn't he? Because
Surely it's his
Birmingham were
right,
battling
though.
But he just said that,
They're
didn't
still
he?
first-team
I've
players.
got a squad of players.
It's not like when we
Pick me
got
team.
relegated in 2001, Portsmouth played a youth team pretty much against Barnsley.
Yeah.
I think it was Portsmouth-Barnsley, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
Stockport as well dropped a load of players.
bigger picture
Against
innit?
Palace.
Yeah, and to be fair, we've taken that. We went to Wolves and won, did the job, and we took a month off because we've got an £11 million wage bill, the smallest. It's like the 20th largest in the league. You know, we're down with Rotherham.
After Wolves game, we completely packed it in preparation for playoffs.
Absolutely,
The
and
We needed those squad players playing because what happens if, say, your goalkeeper gets sent off in last game of the season?
Yeah.
and
he
your
did,
reserve
yeah.
keeper has to start.
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
So we need
Exactly.
those players ready.
And what you got to say as well is we've got the smallest squad, and unlike Brighton and the others, who pretty much threw FA Cup games, we took the FA Cup. We may have made changes, but we took the FA Cup seriously and got to the 5th round, and Harry Bunn putting us.
Well, when they were all slating us for the team we picked
Yeah,
at
he had.
Birmingham, it was virtually identical to the team that drew 0-0 with Man City,
It
who
was.
were worth about 300 million that day. They put out.
And we lost to 10 men. That probably made it a bit worse.
So, yeah.
And Blackburn fans still chelp about that to this day, but
And
it's
goalkeeper
probably done them a
who
favour.
shouldn't have been playing apparently also saved a penalty.
I said Blackburn should have kept out that free kick in last minute against us if they wanted more points when they
Yeah.
were beating us.
Blackburn
Yeah.
stole 2 points from us that season. We had a
yeah.
combination of around
That
60 to
away
70 shots.
performance was ridiculous.
But I think that Cardiff, that last game of the season, obviously Danny Ward walked, and I'm just looking at the team here because part of me thinks that was a scratch team, but it wasn't. And that, you know, Ward, Smith, Effeler, Schindler, Lerver, Ogmoy, Scannell, Brown, Van La Parra, as Kwan, I suppose, leading the line. But it would a team, I thought, with an eye on the week after against Sheffield Wednesday, so I expected a bit more. And
They did, but they never at any point pressed or never
I don't
never
think they were
overexerted.
injured.
Yeah, that,
Nah.
They played that 50-60%.
It was a training session. That's all it looked like to me. It looked like we'd turn up for a training session.
And maybe people will say that's bringing the game into disrepute, but when your squad's so small compared to everyone else's, you've got to do what you've
Thing
got to
is,
do, and it's smart management.
The end goal at that point would got so near. The end goal is trying to get promoted. And you've got to do that the best way you can with the tools that you've got available.
If somebody's 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go and they take off the star striker and put a reserve striker on, that's like a sensible thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't get any stick for that.
No.
That's like the sense. So we've just done it over 90 minutes that are meaningless to us.
Absolutely.
So,
come on, Matt, drum roll. Everyone wants to get to this playoff semi-final.
They do,
First leg.
The first leg where Sheffield Wednesday pretty much refused to cross the halfway line
Yep.
was a bit of a non-event, and then
Well,
Kosi,
Carvel even came out and said he came for a 0-0.
they thought it was job done, didn't they?
Yeah.
we did, yeah.
After
They
the
thought it
game,
was job
I remember
done.
Carval storming onto the pitch, giving it big time.
They thought they'd won it.
Yeah, and a lot of Town fans were down there, but I kind of thought, I kind of looking forward to this being the underdog. The one thing as well that kind of stood out for me, there were loads of people who didn't turn up. There were a pathetic crowd. So had people lost the faith or whatever? I don't know. It were almost like, had we given up on the season?
Which
But-
is completely
Yeah.
ridiculous considering the season we've just had.
Yeah, but those who bought a ticket for Hillsborough, or even, you know,
So I think-
Special.
I
people
think
that
all
meant-
4 of us were there, weren't we?
Yeah, special.
And
Wow.
it was great to see people like it. It just something felt strange. I looked to my right and there's Andy Booth and Tom Cowan and someone who looked like the spitting image of Tom Clark. I'm not sure if it was, but it was a spitting image of it. And it just and
Probably
there's,
what?
There's like your 94, 95 heroes there that night at Brentford. You know, that penalty shootout.
yeah.
And you look
I were there
across.
as well.
You look across and then. The performance that we put in that day, again, Sheffield Wednesday barely crossed the halfway line in that first half. No interest. Izzy Brown misses a bit of a sitter, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Good save, I think, from Westwood. And then, Kosi, your favourite, the concert starts, the 15-year-olds get the mobile phone lights out, Coldplay come out, the Coldplay cauldron, not Darren Fletcher, the other Fletcher, Steve Fletcher scores. Good header. Out jumps Schindler at the far post. Good header.
It wasn't Steve Fletcher, was it? That's who
Stephen
played at
Fletcher,
Bournemouth.
he scored.
Stephen Fletcher, yeah.
Stephen.
But it was an absolute belting header.
That'd be
Did
great
he
header.
climb above Lerver? I think he did, and
Yeah.
he went bang. And that I just thought,
I thought we were done.
I thought we were done.
I'll be fair, that noise when that went in.
Yeah.
I'd never heard him until that point.
He took his shirt off, didn't he? He was swinging it around his head. The place went wild, and
then they took him off.
Yeah, and he was
within
that diagonal.
I couldn't believe
that diagonal ball. Honestly, that diagonal ball was doing. That was the only weapon they had, and they changed him for Jordan Rhodes, who couldn't win a one-man raffle.
No.
And it just let us take a hold of the game, and then the greatest substitution in Huddersfield Town history comes on.
No argument, is there?
And Danny, you've just said, Danny, bringing a reserve striker on, and this reserve striker delivered. And Izzy Brown plays a massive part in this with
an own goal in end, wasn't it?
An amazing
ball.
Goal
in end. You'll forget that. I thought
it was, but I give it to
the quality
I
on
give
the
it
pass.
Nacky Wells until day I die, mate.
I could see for Staunton that they have at that old ground, Hillsborough.
Yeah. What a weird setup that night when they were like, did we only get 1,500 seats or whatever? But half of it were empty, and people were just
the end bits. I was sat right at the edge there was one block and it had been left spare, so a few of us were sort of pacing up and down.
They'd give us as little allocation as they possibly could.
We were so nervous.
Because they were even down below us in lower tier, because Effler jumped into them.
That was amazing. He didn't care, did he?
He
was climbing over them. He was climbing over everybody, surfing the Sheffield Wednesday crowd to get to us.
Yeah.
And extra time comes and we looked the stronger side. They had one or two snap chances, didn't they? But we always looked the more likely, and then penalties. And I just remember just been really numb, not really thinking anything, and just been quite flippant because I never expected us to get anything. I thought we failed to win at home. It's not going to happen.
I was sat with Ben and Faz and rest of lads who used to go on minibus with years ago. We all happened just to end up literally on the same row, and we're all watching that. And we're all sort of a bit nonplussed about it, really, because
what will be, will be.
What we'd achieve from what we were expected to achieve would already gone far beyond that.
It's
far beyond.
It's the mental strength of what Wagner's instilled in this team. In the summer, he's gone out and looked at his back four, and he's gone, do you know what? Right back's my captain.
Yeah.
I'm buying a centre back. He's a captain.
Yeah.
We've got Mark Hudson. He's a captain.
Yeah.
Heffeler, he's a captain.
Lerver,
captain.
Yeah.
And brought in Danny Ward. And the mental strength of that team, the will to win, showed in the penalty shootout.
Do you know the thing that stands out for me? Because let's be honest, we've all watched that game back a million times. And the bit that stands out for me is when he gets them all in a huddle at the end, and there's somebody on the knees, photographer in the middle, he booted him out.
Yeah. I think
and then there was just the one bit, and he's saying to them all, one more game.
Yeah.
Just one more game.
And look out.
And they went off there, 10 foot tall, all of them.
I'd tell anybody to watch those. That what Dave Threlfall-Sykes did was amazing, that game. Those celebrations on the pitch, everybody has to watch that if you're a Huddersfield fan. Yeah. And just look at how every player is just hanging off everything he says.
Yeah.
Absolutely transfixed by this man. And the celebrations at the end were just... That is, for me, Chelsea aside, I think Hillsborough is the best night of my football supporting life.
Yeah, that was my favourite. I was saying that as well. Look at the Sheffield Wednesday account where you've got their £10 million striker who says, I don't want to take a penalty because I don't fancy it.
Yeah. He didn't want to take one from us in 2012 either. He had to take the sixth.
You're on about mental strength, but the one thing I was delighted with, and I did think at the time this could help us when the referee blew and it seemed towards the Copps penalties and the roar from the Wednesday fans. I thought these could pressure us, and that as well. And oh my word,
Danny Ward.
What a celebration! We were on about Thomas Fitz at Rotherham, but incredible one.
How
just like
fast is Danny Ward?
He
was quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, diet. It was brilliant.
But they're just that were all about the self-belief from that they've been given. And I'm saying from one man, it wasn't just from Wagner. Christoph Biola deserves so much credit.
He's great.
For his brilliant,
great guy.
Absolutely brilliant, silent to the outside world, but inside those four walls, the players thought the world of him. Absolutely thought the world of him. And a masterstroke getting Andy Hughes, because Andy Hughes is a brilliant coach.
I think that, you're on about pressure though, the night before, we saw Reading stun Fulham in that semi-final, so part of me thought, I agree with you, Neil, I thought we'd given his best, I didn't expect us to win, but I was still kind of thinking maybe it could be a Brentford-style night against all odds, but knowing that had happened the night before, if that had been Fulham had gone through, I'd have been like, even... But we're never
going to get a better chance over.
And the thing is, that put more pressure on us kind of in the final. I think it was a level game, wasn't it? Kind of priced up. But Reading at home, this was our chance, wasn't it? And
just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. The final itself was arguably the worst game of football you'd seen all season.
I saw loads of people saying that, but to me, my nails were going.
That's because you're involved in most of it.
Exactly, because you're involved.
A nervous wreck, but
neutral.
as a neutral,
about 10 minutes.
So to me, it was a
watching
shock,
that.
because you just kind of fraught with what's going on. Imagine
But we
if
should
there'd
have
been
been
some
out
action.
of sight after 10 minutes.
You'd have
We
been
missed two absolute sitters
You'd have
in
been
10 minutes.
Honestly, mate, you'd have been carrying me out if they'd have put a few balls in the box.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cope.
I think we were all the same, but
Yeah.
when you look it back, it was an awful game of football.
Well, 3-1 down, Wells has that penalty, and that was massive.
But
innit?
when that Liam Kelly, I think, little lad for them,
Great pen.
he stepped up with their third pen, nearly took netting out.
Yeah.
And it was sound, and you just think,
Again.
3-1. And I
think we're done.
just said to me, Dad, we're done. We're done. And I was gutted at that point, and my dad just went, Danny Ward will save a penalty. Never ignore your dad. He was right, wasn't he? He was right. I mean, Liam Moore put that one in the same spot as Steve Simonson, didn't he? Brilliant.
I was convinced as well that who took the fifth penalty for Reading, the winger that came on,
Abita.
John Abita. I was convinced he was going the other way as well, and I just remember Danny Ward going the other way and going, and then realising that he'd actually saved it, and I just lost it, and just trying to hold it together. As Christopher Schindler's the coolest man
And let's be fair,
in the stadium.
Schindler stepping forward, and everybody in our end has gone,
Where's Casey
Schindler?
Palmer? Yeah.
Again, though, Wagner did
Really?
what I remember the circle and Wagner, with the finger, it was quite inspirational. Just to watch it back now, kind of after
Well, there's a story, isn't there, about Schindler and what he'd said to
Dean Hoyle.
Dean
wasn't
Hoyle afterwards about I'm your record signing. You've put a lot of faith in me, and it were.
This is my responsibility.
Yeah, it's my responsibility. I had to do it. I mean, that's phenomenal, isn't it?
So some people talk about a good penalty when keeper's gone the other way, but when keeper goes right way,
That's
it
a
still
better
goes in.
penalty.
That's a better.
Yeah.
That's when it's a good penalty.
It were
And that's a good
pen-
keeper.
It were right
It's a good
inside.
keeper.
It were right inside side netting,
Yeah.
and you can't save them.
You know what though? I know we kind of believed. Just in Wagner's interview after, it was almost like he was a bit surprised that we were surprised. It was almost like he felt we were always destined to win that and get promoted from. Maybe inside he felt totally different, but the interviews after it was almost like he wasn't as bad as Simon Grayson, obviously, when he was kind of we shuffling out. But I think, David, look, we're only still time winning the Premier League, but he was like kind of a nice, calm satisfaction, almost like a job done. Really.
I think
It was a job done for him, though, wasn't it?
But some ones previous to that, he'd always talked it down and said, "Oh, we shouldn't really be here, so we take what we're given." I don't think he believed that.
I don't
in
either.
his interviews, that's what he'd been saying. Oh, this is Huddersfield Town.
It's just
talking about the Premier League. He didn't want
It's
to
his
talk
man
about it.
management setting expectations, and that's what I think a lot of managers fail to do. Is just to keep everyone's feet on. Keeping supporters' feet on the ground is next to impossible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he just managed to do
But
it.
he managed to do it.
He just controlled everything. He's just
And let's be fair, we all, to a man, to a woman, to a child, hung on his every word.
I think the
all
only
of
time
us.
he veered away from that promotion talk was when he upset Brighton fans by saying previously that it was coming into the last few weeks, and he'd said, "Oh, Brighton have got a habit of throwing it away." And suddenly Brighton fans were up in it. What's this man?
Yeah.
So he don't know anything about
And
football.
what did Brighton do?
Yeah, what did Brighton do? They threw the title away. But I mean, that's the first time I'd sort of heard him mention promotion.
Yeah.
But it'd been forced on him the way that question was thrown at him. But
You couldn't not buy that either. It's staring in your face. We were on
Yeah, that's
paper
it.
for me,
That's-
the third best team in that league.
yeah, that's when there were only 3 people going for automatic
Yeah.
promotion, and we were that 13.
Yeah.
So Wembley, the celebrations, 38,000 people. What I was saying earlier in the start about re-energising a fan base. 38,000 people
Unimaginable
went to that.
to take that many.
And people call us a small club. Not with 38,000 fans going to a final, it's not.
No.
It's not a big one, but it's not a small club. That was incredible. And that's him. 20,000 people, the highest league attendance we've had for something like 40, 50 years because of him.
Yeah.
His marketing, the whole marketing campaign to sell season tickets had his face on it. The Wagner Revolution.
Yeah.
It was all David Wagner. Everything. He's pretty much run the marketing team. All the players came in. Stuart Webber gets too much credit. He brought in Wagner, so obviously he gets the ultimate credit, and Van La Parra. The rest of it is from Andy Hughes and David Wagner's little black book.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All Stuart Webber's got to do is go out and pick him up from the airport.
You talk about the celebrations. For me, the night after. Were you guys there or not?
Danny Ward singing in the pub.
I'll just never forget, and probably take this for God, can't say stuff dramatic to your grave, but the bus coming up Northumberland Street, it was driving rain in Huddersfield weather, and the crowd were getting absolutely soaked. And then there's this madman hanging over the bus on the top deck, singing Huddersfield or
If you watch Game of Thrones, it was Hodor's Field, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
He was absolutely incredible, and it was. I just thought, wow, this is very special. You saw what Simon Grayson's. I mean, I know it was a division down, but he wasn't an Huddersfield man, and his celebrations got. I remember thinking
he came in and did a job, didn't it? Well, for Simon with it.
That was a job for Simon Grayson. It's a job for David Wagner, but it meant more. Honestly, I go past. Everyone walks out at the train station, but
Simon Grayson won't give town a second thought since Dale walked out of the building. David Wagner will think about Huddersfield Town every day the rest of his life.
I think one day we might see him back, depending on how his career goes.
Well, we'll see. But
and then he said there was immortal words, Matt, which obviously you play on our podcasts, and
he just
how big you are.
The man has just given us everything, hasn't he? Absolutely, you name it. All your wildest dreams about football.
Yeah,
he's smashed them, hasn't he?
But the way we did it, Neil.
Thanks,
yeah.
The dramatic. It's just like if we'd have won league by 10 points, we wouldn't have had half the fun as that.
No.
We were classic Huddersfield Town.
Well, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it without scoring a goal for yourself and do it on penalty shootouts.
And wind everyone up. It was brilliant.
I think that's as good as it'll get for me in my lifetime following Town.
I fully agree.
It don't bother me.
No.
Because that's as good. That's better.
I was talking to my postman this morning, he's a Leeds fan, and he's all right. He's a good lad, to be fair.
Don't believe you.
And no, he's all right. He's Keith, and we were talking to him this morning. I was just saying, he was asking me about it, and he said, "How do you feel about it?" I said, "I'm genuinely gutted." I said, "But if somebody said to me today that you'll never watch another Huddersfield Town game again as long as you live, I'd deal with that, because whatever happens in the future with Town now, we go down, we come back up, we go down, we come back up, we do whatever. Nothing will ever top that promotion season and last season. Nothing.
We did it our way, Neil. The celebrations wound everyone up. How many, the wave of victory, whatever.
Brilliant.
It was brilliant, mate. And
absolutely
I love
brilliant.
the fact he was doing the stuff winding everyone up. On the pitch against Derby, on the pitch against Leeds with Monk. He was shouting his head off on the bus and that. So this was a guy, he didn't care. He was just like, he brought his German style.
The amount...
It was brilliant.
There'll be a bleep this, but the amount of piss that we have boiled this last couple of years has been phenomenal.
Yep.
It's been absolute meltdown. Little Huddersfield, they're boiling it all over the place, aren't they?
Have they won league titles or something? They're celebrating with
But
their hands.
people go on about what a brilliant feat it was for Leicester to win Premier League. Of course it was. Phenomenal. But for us, on the scale of things, getting to Premier League is the same. It's exactly the same, and we've done it.
I'm going to sound like
spending bugger all to get there and all in the scheme of things.
I might sound like an arrogant super fan when I say this, but I genuinely don't think people get it. I think what we've been through with David Wagner in 2016-17, the roller coaster, having to endure the mediocrity for 45 years before, and some of us more so than others, and riding that wave of what's happened, I just don't think your armchair fans of Twitter, of Man United, Liverpool, I don't think they get it.
They can't get it because they've not got a ceiling to break through like we broke through there.
Exactly.
Because for them, the best it gets is winning stuff, whereas that was never going to be. We've broken through a glass ceiling there by getting to the Premier League that we never thought we'd get above. And you can win Champions League with Man United, but those seasons it was expected to do well.
I've said it for years. Living in Bradford, when they got there, got to be honest, I was mortified.
Salt.
Absolute. Oh, I was salty. I was majorly salty when they got to the Premier League.
We both lived near Wyke, didn't we?
And then they stayed up. We beat Liverpool, didn't they? Stay up.
We've pretty much.
I couldn't. I was broken. I was a broken man. I didn't like it.
They did a quality job, and this. I hope this doesn't sound salty, but that league then were a different league to what it is now.
Well, that's what I was saying to Keith the postman this morning.
To be honest, when Bradford got promoted, they bought promotion.
Yeah.
They spent
They did it
6-7
with
million
quality.
quid,
Spent a lot
which
of
was
money.
massive.
Yeah.
Then.
They did it with
But-
quality signings.
But
They
that,
did, yeah.
but that Premier League,
They
then,
were a
like
proper
Danny
team,
said,
that Bradford team.
yeah, a good side, but
Yeah,
that,
They had some
let's
quality.
not build them up too much. And they're surviving at the minute on our players.
It was just how we did it for me. That meant a lot, Neil. Like I said, it was.
But when they did it,
unknown.
all I've ever said to everybody is, just give me 1 year.
Yeah.
Just give me let me see Town 1 year in Premier League, and I'd have been put a fork in this lad. He's done.
To be
Happy
fair,
days.
those lot would have got that as well. They'd have got Bradford fans.
absolutely, yeah, they did. And would you give me 1 year? But then to do what we did, and I mean, come
on the budgets as well.
how's that happened?
Yeah,
That
we said
how did it happen?
I still don't think we get the credit we deserve for that, Neil.
No, we don't.
And we never will, so we're going to have to... live with it.
He's taken up a League One bound team to Premier League, and then he's kept up a Championship team in Premier League,
The Palace...
which
the-
just wow.
The Palace game, I had a ticket in the Palace end right near the tunnel. The pride I felt when we walked out on that pitch with that awful cheesy...
I were
pride
filling
with
up me that day when they walked out. I couldn't.
And you could feel this beaming pride. They picked up the ball and they walked off and they shook each other's hands. And I thought probably the reality is going to step in at some point and lose 3-0.
There were me and Faz and Noah there, and it were absolutely scorching on it. We were 3 or 4 rows from front, and when they walking out, I were just my heart were beating out of my chest. I couldn't have been prouder if they were all my lads that were walking out. It was just unreal, and I mean that day was pure fairy tale. I remember journey home that day because Faz were off on holiday. At journey home that day, I came home with Murfield Chris and his lad and a certain Danny G. We travelled home together, and that were a funny trip, wasn't it?
That was the soccer.
It was all the way back. We were just giggling about everything in it, Mooney and talk of socks and other stuff. And
I think we went around London twice before we
it was the magical mystery tour.
A lap of honour.
We did a lap of honour. We're down Mayfair, and it was brilliant.
We were waving to Chelsea fans because they just lost to Burnley.
Yeah, we were top at league.
There were a lot of town fans over King Cross. I'll tell you what were beautiful. I remember the social media BBC screenshot this Huddersfield fans.
Well, I remember
One
when
match.
match it day, and they all going about how we're short league table. We don't really mean out at this stage, but it'll mean something for Huddersfield Town fans.
We were first.
And you
down,
just
weren't
saw
we?
it.
Yeah.
You just saw it, and we're Huddersfield Town are top at Premier League, and
And then the energy in the stadium. I keep going the energy, but for me that was the theme with David Wagner. Newcastle, Rafa, as much as we love him, and we did a right job on him, Moy, with that belting goal.
And it was live on Sky as well, and that goal,
6
wow,
points. 6
it
points.
was a brilliant goal,
We're
wasn't
in
it?
the
It was a
league.
brilliant goal. And the salt pouring from them was epic afterwards.
Epic.
They play chants through the tannoy, false.
Yeah,
Their
it's
net
because you
spend
stood
is
next
bigger
to
than ours.
1,800 Town fans,
Yeah.
you muppets.
The net spend's bigger than ours, false.
Yeah, false.
The amount of nonsense they came out with to try and justify a defeat was brilliant. And the stills they put of the red cards they think we should have had, which were absolute nonsense again, was brilliant.
I remember that game then. Matt Ritchie's put one, and it's in bottom corner, and Lossell's pulled out one hell of a save. I mean,
done it the week
that
before.
was a brilliant save.
Yeah, made a cracker against Palace.
He did, yeah.
That header from Ben. There was a guy on the train calling him back going. I just remember coming back on the train, and there were a Palace fan sat there, and there's a Town fan with a whiskey tash, I think, who goes in the FML, just going, "There needs to get rid of that Bentique, the nose." And that's just our absolutely in bits listening to. And you go, "That Bentique's holding you back." And
But it just started, and that season how it started. You go in top, put a fork in me again. I'm done here.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it carried on.
Yeah.
And you got Leicester rocking up a one league 2 years before, and we should
should've-
have beat them.
yeah.
And you think, what's going on here? Should have beat Southampton. And the football we were playing, and you could see opposing fans sort of a bit taken aback.
You were like, we shouldn't lose.
Yeah, we're happy with that, weren't we?
And you remember the fans in the cowshed end.
Yeah, complete no fear, and that's the only thing that has. I don't want to be too negative this podcast because it's about celebrating all about Wagner in it, but that's the thing that has drifted away this season a little bit. Is that sort of up and at 'em, bollocks to you, no fear.
The Man United game, though, I've never been as drunk. I think I got home about 3 o'clock from Huddersfield on that Saturday. Because I made a point, I don't know you guys, but I thought it was one season. I thought it were one season, so I was going to enjoy every good time we had.
I think I were probably the same.
And Manchester United home in the driving rain, and one of the things that iconic moments, David Wang at the end with his baseball hat doing the all A's.
We'd booked a weekend away
thing.
for that weekend, and a group of about 15, 16 friends up at Brompton Lakes outside Richmond in a couple of lodges. So we'd gone up on Friday, and in fact we booked it. And I said to my wife, you know what's going to happen when fixtures come out? Man U at home, that. Fixtures came out, Man U at home. I thought, I can't believe this. And I thought, I'm not going to say out. I'll just see if she comes up with something. I'm not going to say a thing. And then we're driving home from, I think we're being Aston or something, driving over from Aston one day, and she said, so, Man U game, then are you going? I said, well, we're up in lodges, aren't we? She said, yeah, but if you don't go to that, it'll be a waste of time you've been at lodges because you've been miserable as sin. She said, so go. And I went, if you're sure, love. And Faz actually drove up from Huddersfield in the morning, picked me up at Richmond, back down to the game, and then drove me back again after the game at night.
What a legend. I just remember.
And I got trolleyed.
I just remember we went 1-0 up, that counter-attack goal, and you're thinking, all right, Man United are going to score at some point. And then it's run through to Lossell. Lossell's picked it up, looked up quickly, and he's pinged a great ball over the top. And
it was brilliant.
There's this big bear stood up front for Huddersfield Town.
For us, him?
He does indeed. This huge bear, and Lindelof makes a huge error. I remember Phil Jones going off early in that game and thinking, hang on here. And Lindelof misses it, and Depoitre just takes a brilliant touch, and he's round De Gea, and for me, time stopped, and I just remember thinking, everything froze. It's like Bernard's watch.
Surely we cannot be 2-0 up here.
Honestly, it's like Bernard's watch, and everything freezes, and I've just gone, he's scoring a goal. We're going 2-0 up against Man United. This is peak.
Oh yeah. If you could have stopped time then and we're done, that's another one. Yeah. Put a fork in this lad again. I'm covering forks, mate, tonight.
I just remember the celebrations at
fork offs.
Fork to death.
I remember we got a gas club after it. Packed, and David Wagner appeared on the big screen. We'd just won, and this guy just started singing it. You've heard of Man United. We've always sung that when we played at Yeovil. We're beating them. And the noise echoed down.
It's a Millbridge staple, that one.
Oh, just pulled out of there about 7 o'clock, absolutely chollied. Folk and this karaoke, these other songs, those were the days. The town was absolutely buzzing, and it were determined to enjoy what we got. That just felt, wow. And it was the first time actually, I can't remember even seeing it, I think.
I walked back into the lodge that night, and they're all sat round drinking. You had a good day, then I just started laughing.
Well, I know.
Give me a drink.
Yeah, you'll be pleased about result. Yeah, it's just like... Fantasy, absolute fantasy.
Obscene.
And then, not to put a dampener on this podcast, the week after for me is the bit where the whole Premier League experience kind of, I thought, it's not what it's cracked up to be as this. When we went to Anfield, and the atmosphere in there is the biggest fraud in football.
Yeah, it is.
It's revolting. We lost 3-0, we deserved to lose. That penalty that they got was an absolute joke. They missed it anyway.
Yeah.
And I look to my right, there's no noise at all from any of them, and there's people afterwards saying, who didn't go, what a great place.
There were more people with iPads in that football ground than anywhere
else. What I was
going to
say is 5 minutes before, half the crowd left on the right hand side, and the other half went to the front and started taking selfies against the pitch, and it was just one of the strangest touristy football games. And I get it, if you're a Liverpool fan and you're going to sell your ticket for a game like Huddersfield, no qualms if you don't want it. And I wouldn't, personally, but that's what they seem to do. And the tourists find it easy to pick up tickets, but that atmosphere there was just... I remember coming away going... We lost 3-0, I just remember coming away going, that's not football.
Yeah.
That's not football.
Yeah, we said the same. I mean, the worst one for me was West Ham, because it's just not a football ground. It felt so anti-football.
I've been to the Olympics and Paralympics there. It's great for that. But not for football.
But that's what it's made for. It's not a football ground.
I remember going to Goodison thinking this will put it right here, because they're proper football fans.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, it was
game,
naff there.
This big screen up with the fans taking selfies and getting them put on the screen. It was just the same thing.
Pathetic.
Yeah, what is going on? The modern football fan, and that were the first inkling you got, and you're thinking, Premier League, you're all right.
I don't want to put it on a downer, but it was the first time I thought I'm getting we're very negative here away from home. This is dull. Everything that the Man United game wasn't, and that we had a little period of that, but then
I think we went there playing safe because we've got 3 unexpected points week before.
Yeah, the Liverpool fan come to me, said, "I watch your games, and you're better than that. You're better than that." But that we did that quite a lot, but kind of bumped into December, and then things looked it again. Just when it looked like we were on a bit of a downer, really.
The week after that Liverpool game, we've probably, I think, arguably seen the best goal of the Premier League era, where Rajiv Van La Parra whips that in against West Brom. Can you guys name a better goal we've seen maybe in the Premier League than that?
Joe Lollies were pretty good against West Ham.
Joe Lollies was great, but
that was a belter.
Absolutely stunning. And we played, the mental strength came back again though, because we played almost the entire second half without Christopher Schindler.
Yeah. And never looked in trouble, to be fair.
That's about the only time where we played with or against 10 men
and looked good.
A decent job.
Yeah.
And that started the demise of West Brom, because they were top 6-7 at that point.
Yeah, it was funny one for them, really.
Yeah, and they all wanted Pulis out. They got the wish and they dropped like a stone. So
yeah, they were giving them some real stick, West Brom fans.
Tony Pulis, your football is. Yeah, I remember. And then we've obviously hit a bad run, Kosi, but we've gone into that December run, and all of a sudden things are shining brightly. We've beaten Brighton 2-0, and that Watford away game,
just
brilliant. That
the first time we'd scored away from home since
we needed a boost before Christmas, and we got it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We needed that, and I think again it was just like we were talking that championship, obviously amazing run. Every time you just felt we needed to win a game, or we looked maybe ominous, the writing on the wall, he pulled something out of the fire. But we were absolute sensation from Kachunga scoring. We
murdered Watford that day. They didn't know what it is.
Kachunga went off injured
from the first minute.
Brilliant, though. Yeah. Moy goal, De Poitre goal.
Well, De Poitre, the goal he got there, he's not scoring that this season.
Colin
Because he wouldn't have followed it in.
The Colin Quaner's assist.
Well.
Yeah,
when it came across him, I said to him, you just know that's going it back in net. You wouldn't say that now, would you?
No.
And we go back to that Southampton game. There's a lot of people there, and not just for a free pint either, Neil. The togetherness and the bond that David Wagner had struck up between him, the players, and the crowd was just fully evident.
To be everywhere, didn't you? You just wanted to be everywhere, and it's that's gone a bit this season, hasn't it? Now it's unfortunately.
It makes you realise, Neil, doesn't it? That like when we're chatting that how much it's gone, just what we were talking about, our memories from before, how much we've kind of moved away, and I get confidence and luck and stuff. Because you would think how many times we've seen that first bit about the late winners, the this, that, and the other. But we were bold, we were brave, and kind of not what we were now. But I remember going into Christmas thinking, because I think we were back top half of the table after that.
I think
Southampton we played really well.
I think we were all a little bit unexpected for people as well. And then when people did think we were starting to drop off, we'll pull another result out, won't we?
The games over Christmas were awful, weren't they?
But it started dropping off again, and then we absolutely murdered Bournemouth on TV again.
Expectations were. I remember that Burnley-Stoke games thinking, I think we can get 6 points out of that.
Yeah.
And we were rubbish. Burnley, we should have lost.
Yeah.
Burnley were really good that day.
Someone did really good. Oh, that Stoke guy that scored, he sounded a player, didn't he?
Interestingly, Inson Ramadan Sobhi swapped goals that game before swapping clubs later on.
I think we definitely got a bum-ended deal there, didn't we?
You're doing well in Egypt though, aren't you?
Don't know, has anyone looked? And then we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row before that Bournemouth game, which I think was on BT, was it?
BT,
Neil? And a little man, Alex Pritchard's making his first home start.
He was excellent
that game.
He was excellent that day.
We were excellent.
We were, yeah.
I remember turning him up for a wedding, like about 5 hours journey. Maybe I should have done another story, but rewarded though by that. You'd do anything. I know we mentioned
that
it before.
That was a cold day and all.
Yeah, the Birmingham FA Cup game 3 days before were crucial, I think, in kind of building that confidence back.
Yeah, we scored 8 in 2 games, didn't we?
I'll say, Neil, that was a cold day, but by looking at Danny Williams, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, that was.
He made every man feel completely insecure that day.
Yeah, he did.
Bournemouth were a good side, and we did a real job on them. And again, I think the belief were there that
Well, they got it back to 1-1 pretty quick after we'd scored as well, didn't they? Yeah. And it was a nice little finish from that Stanislas. It was a clever little straight back in the opposite corner.
So when did this West Brom game come into it, Matt?
West Brom was the week. It's the next game, but it was 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And it was that game where we went there and won, and I just thought, do you know what? We're going to stop up here.
Yeah.
I was still panicking all the way till the end of the season, but that game where Pritchard's put Mounier through and Van La Parra scored, and I've just thought, do you know what? We're going to stay up.
And then Mounier's bagged his. I mean, what a confident finish that is. That's a cracking goal.
He just scored. Well, he'd had his hat trick taken off him, didn't he, the week before?
But he came out of there. I remember going down there with Pozza and Ben, and we came out of there, and you're just thinking, "What's going to happen? Is this?"
We thought
you just had it was coming again, innit?
You thought there's one less team to worry about there in West Brom.
Yeah, they've gone.
Oh, they had like a decent squad, but you could tell that there were problems there. And I mean, he got sacked shortly afterwards, didn't he? But
yeah,
he did, and we've had another bit of a run where this all of a sudden scoring goals became more of an issue after that Bournemouth game, and things maybe started to turn at this point for us. We've seized up and become really tense, and this is probably the first cracks that we've seen in the Wagner regime, whereby we've drawn 0-0 with Swansea, we lost 2-0 at home to Palace, and then a good point at Brighton, and finally a home goal by Tom Ince.
Oh, I remember that little flick. Congolo's launched it. Zanka little flick, and Tom Ince, and that
ghosting late run that he does.
The place just went.
I just remember looking at the scoreboard. It was 4:30, 20:05, 4:45, and you're kind of thinking, we're needing something.
Yeah.
And there were no sign of anything happening.
No.
Were there?
No. The earlier kick-off as well is when Southampton had been beating Chelsea. And Chelsea
they were winning
back.
2-0, weren't they, and lost.
Yeah. That was an amazing
What
day.
a legend.
And I was listening to a Mutual Hiss, but a rugby league podcast, and Earl Crabtree was on it, and he was saying how he'd been to that game, and he said he'd never heard a noise like that when Huddersfield scored in any stadium.
It was the outpouring from that. I mean, there were just limbs all over the place in that ground when that went in.
I almost fell down a tear. It
and
was
I think then
incredible.
The worst thing about it, well, I think we all pretty much
We were
thought
1
then.
foot there, didn't we? We thought
we're on the verge, and I think the players actually believed at that point that this is on this, and then
we kind of slackened a bit, didn't
yeah.
we? Until we are at the home of the champions. They're about to lift the trophy, going for 100 goals and 100 points, and we play a back 11, if you like, and.
Thing is, we played a back
Really
11, and we made
threatening.
We made 3, 4, or 5 great chances. I mean, I remember we played a really clever free kick in first half with Lerver, and unfortunately, at the other end of it were Flaw.
Additional, and Pritchard's long range shot as well.
That were unlucky. Then
was a
obviously
great
Malone's
save.
gone clean through, and
You think that Kosi, you mentioned this quite a lot, don't you? Where it's 0-0 at the Etihad, the home of the best team, one of the best teams in Europe at this point.
yeah,
And
probably the most expensively assembled one.
Yeah, I didn't think
there's
we were
2 minutes to go,
No.
and a man runs through to seal your fate. Who's the last man that you want, Kosi, that season to run through one-on-one?
Against us in a Fulham shirt, he'd have buried that.
And so, well, it wasn't that bad an
The
effort,
world
to be honest.
stopped. The world stopped because that was it. We were safe.
Yeah,
And
Well.
this couldn't be happening, and it didn't happen, and on went the fun. Because I remember again the night before that incredible Everton-Southampton game where Southampton looked like they were getting the result, and out of nowhere, Everton had scored in like night. They didn't deserve it. So it was just that emotional. We're there, we're not. We're there, we're not. And then on Tuesday they went to Swansea, and we were all thinking
that were weird, because I remember watching that game, Swansea-Southampton, and I didn't know what I wanted to happen.
I knew full well I wanted Southampton to go down, because I was thinking next season as well.
Yeah.
I thought Swansea, there's no way Swansea stay up next
I really
season.
couldn't work out what I wanted.
Well, I think people were factoring that last game where Southampton were at home to Man City, thinking Man City will walk out,
they'll
which
win
they
that.
didn't. They won it with the last minute goal.
Last minute goal. But as it turned out, I remember probably it'll be with Ben or Faz or Danny in it about that, and it actually turned out Southampton winning what best result, because it just meant then We only needed a point. We had to mess
Swansea
about.
gave
Just
up,
a
didn't
point,
they?
yeah.
Swansea gave up, and that you guys, at this point I didn't go to Chelsea away. Huge regret, but to be fair, my little boy who was conceived just after. Well, not just after. It'd be a great story if it was just after the Schindler penalty goal, but a week after. I stayed at home because he's been born and the missus isn't that well, and I remember watching this on TV with him asleep next to me, and he wasn't asleep for very long. I remember the ball going through. This amazing backs to the wall performance. Schindler steps out. They claim foul. It's not a foul. Aaron Moy looks up. The best player any of us will ever see at Huddersfield Town, in my opinion. Aaron Moy.
Fact.
Drops the ball over the top, and Depoitre outstrengths Willy Caballero, and I just remember again time froze. Rudiger's on his backside, and for some reason I'm convinced he's still going to miss because you just can't believe this is happening. And then Depoitre puts the ball in the net,
there,
and you see the celebration, and
it was just first I thought it were going to blow up when Schindler wasn't tackling their half because it was brilliant tackle, but it would have having that.
It was a championship tackle.
He took the lot. Then Aaron Moy has played it's a good ball in it over the top.
It's like that split.
Yeah, because he's a quality player, isn't he? And then you're just waiting when Depoitre, and to be fair, we got the ball first. It wasn't a foul. Referee were right. I mean, Lee Mason, ironically, Pillico didn't give penalty on Saturday. Well, changed his mind on Saturday. But when Caballero goes down, you are there just thinking he's going to blow. And he made no attempt, and all of a sudden, Depoitre's got a tap in from, 10 yards. When that goes in, I've got to be honest, that was the last 30 odd minutes there. Is take Chelsea goal out of it, which was the biggest fluke on planet. But that 30 odd minutes there was the most nervous I have ever been in a football ground. It was ridiculous because we battled so hard, we'd come so far, we deserved it now. I don't want to go into Arsenal. We've got Arsenal at home, we can beat them. Didn't want to go into Arsenal needing. You wanted to do it that night. And then when Malone again went through, he's bought that free kick. He's never seen a free kick, but he's got that free kick, gone down like a bag of spuds.
You know.
And as soon as he get that free kick, you didn't stand them. Where we were stood, I was actually stood next to Louise and Tom in top tier, and we had. I can't remember who had the stopwatch. I think it was a lad in front of me, and he had stopwatch on, and we were counting here. We were counting it all down, and as soon as he get that free kick, there was like 6 seconds or something. It's done. We're done. And as soon as he dinked it, Aaron Moy, that was it, wasn't it? And limbs everywhere. I think I picked Louise up, nearly threw her out at stand. But just mental. What? Oh. I've never felt out like that in a football ground. It was just ridiculous.
I thought we deserved that second season.
We did.
There.
100% we did.
A lot of people have been writing.
Yeah, we didn't finish fourth bottom either. We finished fifth bottom.
Yeah,
we finished with breathing space. Yeah.
I thought we did. I just
Thank you, Man City.
Team effort.
Yeah.
I mean, in his highlights pod that we did the other week, obviously that Chelsea game, we're so lucky to have some of these amazing highlights. There's teams there that never get anything like this. It's really disappointed me. Some of the fans like that divine right appreciate what we've had. We've had some of them. Listen to some of these stories. It's incredible. There's teams that just make up the numbers season after season.
I'm tingling just thinking about that Chelsea because that was just it was just unbelievable.
I was shaking. I was at home. I was just physically shaking, just making so much noise.
I drove down there that night to drive back. Could hardly breathe.
I mentioned it on the radio last night. That made me chuckle.
Ridiculous. I thought I'm going to drive home, and to be honest, that journey home there, one of them, if we'd have lost, it'd have took 24 hours. But it seemed like it took about 20 minutes. And before you know where you are, I'm dropping far off in Dewsbury. I'm home. I
suppose we've got
and then I watched it again.
We've got a ball move it forward. We don't want to make it do it, but I think we've got to chuck the Wolves game in as a shining light. To me, that was probably our obviously last memory of Huddersfield Town being proper top class.
I'll be honest. I think we've done all transfer window and stuff. We've done that in previous pods. I think we've murdered that, haven't we? And I think it's only right to look on.
Just
Wagner has been the legend he is. And
It
you're
just
right,
makes me
that
so
Wolves
sad
game.
that from walking out of that ground, then I can remember the chanting and what have you onto the streets of Wolverhampton. Who would have thought that? From that
Well,
would be sat
since.
here January
And he's gone.
the 15th, and he's gone. It's just an incredible decline. But I will not have anyone, like there's been some naughty articles today, say we were lucky and we were this, that, and the other. No, we were not. We have had the time of our lives, and this guy has given us the time of our lives, and I will not have his name.
There were a few bits on Twitter from Henry Winter's done a piece again, always classy. Juliet Ferrington from BBC, she's done one, brilliant. And the other one who I always like is Danny Higginbottom. And he's
always been a big fan.
He's been very glowing about town ever since Wagner rocked up.
He's always backed us.
Yeah, and
he said he would stop up, mate, last season when everyone else was saying
he did.
Gone. Even his own fans,
he
probably
did.
some of them.
And they were sort of three that really sort of banged the drum for town and for Wagner and been very respectful, whereas a lot of others have just sort of brushed over in Huddersfield and they're almost glad to get rid of as well.
We brought something different, mate. I don't care what anyone says.
We did.
We brought something different. To it sounds like we're totally doomed or what have you, but the celebrations, the kind of the pressing that David Wagner.
You look at all comments.
I think we brought some fun back into the Premier League
Absolutely.
where people take things way too seriously,
right.
take themselves way too seriously, and everybody else is tin pot and we're amazing. I hate that culture.
But you look at all comments that we get from opposing fans that it's best away ground because of atmosphere and fans are brilliant, this and other.
And they forget that 2 weeks later when they're slating us.
They do, but just about every club has said that where best ground they've visited, fans wise and atmosphere wise, and
I think your best reaction, Neil, is after the game when you get in them posts. Because when you call that a day and then stuff gets posted on Twitter, after the hour of the game, that's where your emotions are there, and you know what you're saying and that as well. And I just think, I think that for me though, the fan atmosphere that it's brought back. David Wagner was touched on it earlier, but so big on almost like rejuvenate. I don't know the Calshed Law or North Stand or whatever it was. It was kind of there, but he took it by the scruff of the neck, stuck in that stand. That was a controversial move because Dino would probably say goodbye to Cash and what have you. But that just felt like what all this won. The displays, some of the tifos, the efforts the guys were putting there. It felt such togetherness and such a united front that whoever takes over, and that's probably for another day, it's got to build that.
The thing is, whoever does come.
I'm going to correct you as well, Cosy, when you said Huddersfield Town have been lucky. I think we've been incredibly lucky to have David Wagner as our manager since 2015. Unbelievably lucky, and look at the memories we've got and the fun we've had. It's been amazing.
We've worked well for him as well. I mean, I think if he'd have gone anywhere else, would he have had a Dean Hoyle? I think he can consider him fortunate.
It was.
He said that in his statement.
It's what they call the perfect storm came together, didn't it? Because we needed that bit of something new. Because let's be fair, Dino's put a lot of money in even before Wagner walked through the door. A lot of money, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't have put anywhere near the amount he's put in out of his own pocket as well. And he knew that there'd one chance left to try and galvanise this club and get this club going. And in the wildest dreams, I can't imagine for a minute.
No,
they thought
you've got to
the last couple of years had happened.
Dean Hoyle's fought tooth and nail to keep David Wagner at Huddersfield Town on several occasions. He's gone out and he's battled and fought and kept his man. He's had to pay for it, but
worth every penny.
But
and
brilliant.
More.
So
look what he's given us.
Look what they're both given us.
They've given us some of. I mean, it's not just football; it's life. They've given us some of our best memories that we'll take when we die. These are.
That's why it grates when ignorant idiots like Liam Lawrence chip in saying that.
Chip over you.
I'll talk about 2016-17 to my little boy in 30 years' time. That season will never be beaten, in my opinion. We could win it again.
If we're
we
all
could win
sat
the
in
league.
pub in 20 years' time, can you imagine it be? Remember Barnsley at home? Remember when we went to Wednesday? in playoffs. Remember at Chelsea?
Well, today, you and myself have been reminiscing about 82, 83 and
Yeah.
Millwall games and 5-1. I mean, it's going to be the same.
But on drugs.
Get some of these tweets read out. There's some absolutely beautiful things that we've had coming through on our account today. About
Go on,
memories.
Kosi. You stuck the tweet out, didn't you? So
Yeah, I'll
So
scroll
read out-
back. I need to scroll.
if
a
you
long
read
way-
out our
way
tweet
back
and
on
then
that as well.
the responses.
Yeah, so the tweets was been a tough 24 hours. We're recording a podcast tonight. Your best Wagner memories, please. And what will you miss about him the most? So, I have to scroll back about a day or two, really, and that as well. But so, the first one was how he reacted to Effel's goal against Leeds. Nothing better than an 89th minute winner, as well as a fan. That was from Robo BAWZ Twitter handle, Robert. Andrew Garner, I fear we'll lose our identity as a club, because I also tweeted as well what your kind of hopes and fears. I'll come up probably them in a second. Michael Foster, best but unusual first game at Hillsborough. Wasn't quite there, but we could see the intent and the sheer difference in effort from the players and the response from the fans. No one is bigger than a club, but he came bloody close. And you touched on that Hillsborough game, Matt, early on. Again, Robert, and it has to be the connection with the fans and the community who I'll miss most. I've never felt this sad about a manager leaving before either. Feels like a death in this family, this sort of thing.
Completely echo that.
Mickey H, 4 candles. One favourite Wagner moment was him sprinting onto the pitch to celebrate the Hef's last minute goal against the White and the melee that followed.
Stuff.
He mentioned about replacement, but we'll come on another time. Right here, wearing the black suit, this from Mike Carver, on a day most Town fans never thought they would see. He's put a picture of the Huddersfield Town promoter to English Premier League as a screenshot. He says keeping them in the Prem last year was probably his most impressive accomplishment, but this day to me was his biggest. We'll never forget this day. Let's have a kind of look at others. Hotline billing, the run and leap on Danny Ward after beating Wolves, the jump onto Kachunga against Derby, Monkgate, the Chelsea celebrations, the famous quote of the promotion party, doesn't matter how big, experienced or strong you are, if you have passion and desire, you have no limits. Lee Robinson, for me, having missed the most important ones at Hillsborough and Wembley was the celebration after Heffley at the win in the derby. Such passion from the man who properly knew what it was to be a Terrier. To be part of Huddersfield Town, it was more than just a job. Tom Reaney, we've all had lots of memories and things we will miss. The thing we will all miss the most will be the old Wagner. The guy started to change from mid last season. He was never the same since. Lee Robinson again, it's rare you get the connection with the fans and community. It was not only Dave, but he made the players excited as I'm about a fresh new manager. I can't see anyone else having this connection. Let's see if there's anything else. Andrew Brown, 3.5 years of wonderful brilliance doesn't erase the memories of all the dinosaurs and journeyman jokers we have all had, I believe. Yet I still fear, albeit irrationally perhaps. There's a few people kind of talking about, kind of forward as well. Let's have a look. When he wouldn't get off when he wouldn't get off the microphone at the promotion party.
I was just saying when I missed this one. There's a dodgy night out or something.
He galvanised the club from top to bottom, and it's been a pleasure having such a charismatic, unique leader in charge of our team. Chris Moore, the gesture he would make to us fans at the end of a big result, the championship season where it began gathering pace, and you actually believed with this man in charge we were actually going to do it. Immense man he is, got something in my eyes again. There's a couple of tear emojis on there as well. Let's have a look. Anything else? Louise Woolard, moments like this, the pitch invasion versus Leeds 16-17, it was a spontaneous celebration. She's put a beautiful picture of everybody jumping on each other and Wagner at the top with his arm up. It was a spontaneous celebration, which made him even more special. He meant no disrespect to the opponents. It was just a joyous moment of connection with the players and the fans. Angry Berry, him going straight to the Reading players after the penalty shootout, the whole promotion season, the celebrations when we stayed up, and the Christmas video with his family. Anthony Gummersall, the start of his tenure, ran Wednesday ragged at Hillsborough for an hour until they ran out of steam, then got a standing ovation at home to Borough despite losing 2-0. Knew we were on something, never in my wildest dreams did I expect what he achieved there. David Wagner's Blue and White Army is put there. Jody Calvert, not sure I'm too late for this, you're not, Jody, but for me it's his dignity and class. In all seriousness, I don't think there's ever been a football manager who carries himself so professionally, a rare breed. Clive Wilkinson with his final tweet. I've never witnessed a reaction like this regarding a manager leaving a club. What David Wagner's done for our club is outstanding. He's a true legend. Too many good memories to mention for me and my lad. I hope we can keep that Terrier spirit. God, it makes me feel up reading some of that. It's incredible memories. Everyone's got their own. Obviously, the Leeds game kind of got mentioned a lot there. But I mean, I remember asking him a question last year when he was. I can't remember which working men's club it was now, but I said, David, what would been your best memory at time at Huddersfield Town? And he just shouted back at me, says, well, I've beaten Leeds 3 times and unbeaten against them and that as well. And the massive cheer from everyone and that as well. He knew what the club was about. He knew what mattered to us. He got to the supporters meetings, and everything. Yeah.
Right, so we're going to go on to a topic none of us really want to talk about, and that is who should replace the best manager in our history. Herbert Chapman might argue, but if he could. It's a massive pair of shoes to fill. It's almost an impossible task for somebody in many ways. Maybe not on the field, but off the field, it's going to be very, very difficult. And there's a lot of people wanting certain other managers. Have any of you guys thought about who you would maybe like to be the next one?
I suppose maybe the better way of putting it. Would you want something similar, as in a style or
we've built
setup, or would you want something totally different?
We've built that identity, haven't we? And we probably shouldn't move too far from it.
On it. So I think you're right there. I think it's a sort of what sort of style, and I'd say like again a foreign manager that I've not heard of would be my choice. Not because I've not heard of him, but just
someone you don't know how bad he is.
Not your Moyes, your Allardyce. And part of that is because I'm not thinking about staying up now, so I'm not looking at somebody who can come in and do.
Can I just say, hearing Sam Allardyce rule himself out of this job today was the single funniest thing I've heard all year. What an absolute plonker he is. He's got himself on TV there and on radio to keep himself relevant.
What's your legend?
Because he knows full well.
Daihatsu, you remember that shirt, Neil? Come on.
He knows full well he's got absolutely zero chance of getting offered this job. So
I don't think he's got any interest in the job. I don't think
that's what I'm saying, though. So he's ruled himself out of it.
I think he was asked, to be fair, wasn't he? On whatever it was, I don't care. But the thing is, the best comment from him was, even if I perform magic there, they don't have the strikers to keep us up. Magic.
If I'm going to perform my magic,
as if he's David
jog
Copperfield.
On, Sam, you absolute weapon.
It's a really difficult one because it's
not with Allardyce. It's not out.
Middle of January though. If this was, I messaged you Matt, the other night because I was trying to think of when Sean Dyche, kind of our friend, took Burnley down, but then came back up. And I kind of thought they were cut adrift miles, but the stats you said to me they weren't, which kind of give him a bit of a springboard. We've got 16 games to go, and part of me thinks get Mark Hudson in, like the Mark Lillis job, protect kind of a new manager coming in and getting pelters. But then this goes against everything that Dean has said with his "I won't let us to sleepwatch relegation," and then this Sky comment that's come out, whether it rubbish or not, that something's going to be announced on Sunday. I don't know, it just feels so odd, and we haven't got a striker in yet, which has frustrated me. Are we giving up on the season? Are we not?
I have a theory.
I just don't know.
I have a bit of a theory, and it's probably wrong, and I'm happy for it to be wrong, because we're all thinking things in our head, aren't we? And I just feel like maybe David Wagner let on earlier that he was going to go at the end of the season than the weekend just gone. Maybe he's let on a couple of weeks ago, and that's why we've seen a lack of activity in the transfer market, because what's the point in David Wagner signing players for somebody else in the summer? Why waste that money? Or why, not waste, but spend that money that somebody might not want? So there's obviously been a cut-off applied, because we've gone from looking at Neil Maupay and been linked with this, that and that to all of a sudden it just completely stopping. So I think something's gone on. And I think when he said that to Dean Hoyle, I look at Dean Hoyle as a very proactive and intelligent guy who will then have immediately said to Olaf Rebic, right, we need to set the wheels in motion for a replacement. And I think they've had somebody maybe in mind for a couple of weeks. What's amazing is that it's not got out anywhere in the press, which makes me think maybe there's no agent involved, because agents talk, don't they? And if there's no agent involved, then it's probably going to be someone who's known to someone like Olaf Rebbe, Julian Winter, Dean Hoyle. So Lee Clark's free. And that didn't get the desired response, I thought.
I was hoping to get through this one without mentioning Lee Clark for a change.
But I always mention Lee Clark.
Yeah.
But so I think there's something maybe whereby we've had an idea and maybe we've sounded somebody out for the end of the season and we've just brought that forward, which makes me think this person's going to be unemployed. He's probably going to be known to staff. I can't pinpoint exactly who it's going to be. You look at who Olaf Rebbe's appointed and there's Martin Schmidt pops out from Wolfsburg and a few others, and there's Raphael Wicki, I think, whose paths maybe have crossed with him at Werder Bremen. But the one thing that people want to keep wanting is Slavisa Jokanovic, but I'm not sure, Neil, whether he would or wouldn't take it. He's turned down 2 jobs in the last week. Did he know 2 weeks ago that this one might be coming up?
Maybe so, but I mean, let's be honest, he's turned Forest down, and they're a basket case for a club, and have been for quite a while now, aren't they? I don't know who else he's turned down, to be honest.
Stoke.
Mm-hmm. They're a bit of a funny one at the moment, aren't they? They've gone from being stable to anything but with 3 managers in 7 or 8 months or something now. If we're swapping again, Jokanovic is one that I've got to be honest. I don't even really want to talk about who's going to replace him. I haven't actually settled on the fact that he's gone yet.
No, both.
It just all seems a bit wrong.
I think what we can easily do, though, is we can look at who's
Just
in
got
the
to trust
and we can.
Dean Hoyle and the board to do what they do.
I don't think
That's
it'd be
as simple as that.
anyone. I don't think it'd be anyone who's been mentioned so far. But just as a gut feel, there doesn't seem to be any.
The guy mentioned from Dortmund too, that Jan, I don't know if it's Zweivert, whatever he's called. That just seems a little bit too simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what we did in 2015, so they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
There was just something there that didn't quite
that it doesn't
fit.
add up really, does it?
David Moyes' first, that just doesn't make any sense on any level.
I know an ideal man for a job, I've got to be honest. And he's just left. So that's me.
You for the job?
Wagner. I'm just, I'll be honest, I'm just gutted he's gone. I'm absolutely gutted he's gone.
We all are, mate.
And I think, for me, we even contemplate who's going to be replacing him. I mean, somebody were asking that last night on Twitter.
Somebody's got to do the job.
Somebody were asking it within 10 minutes.
Yeah,
of him going out. I think, no.
You've got to establish what the job is, though, now as well, because if we're talking about people like Allardyce, which we're not.
They don't want that relegation on their CV, do they?
Is the job Championship getting us promoted, or is the job saving us, or is the job both?
The job's got to be, whoever comes in, it's they've got to be realistic, haven't they? I mean, let's be fair. We're nigh on. We've 1 foot through the door, haven't we? We've put us coat on. We've zipped it up and we're halfway through.
Andrew Hughes, do you think that's just the same with Hudson? Too big a thing? Cause
I just think he's a really, really good coach. Yeah, I don't think he'd want to.
Mark Hudson's a leader of men, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a really good leader of men. I think he was obviously the long-term plan.
Yeah.
Whether it'd be too soon, he's obviously not. He can't do it for more than 12 weeks because he's not got the UEFA Pro license, has he?
Yeah.
So he's not able to do it for more than 12 weeks. But they did make an exception. Did the Premier for Gareth Southgate for Middlesbrough quite a few years ago. I don't know if they've tightened things up since then. Mark Hudson would have been interesting had we been back in the Championship and a little further on down the line, but I'm not sure whether it's a little bit soon because you can kind of ruin a guy by giving him the opportunity too early.
The one thing about Wagner going now is as hard as it is that obviously it's come out that he'd said he'd stay till the end of the season. It sounds like that had been agreed between him and Dean, and then obviously events have changed over the last few days. And
I think that Cardiff game, and he's just gone.
I think Cardiff game sent us all, didn't it?
I think he's just gone, do you know what? Forget this league.
The fact that he's going now, for me, as much as I don't want him to go, I think the fact he's going now is better than him sort of pottering through till the end of the season, and it gives Tam chance now to really sort of set the stall out and they've got time now to
plan for next year.
To plan and get in front of the 3 or 4. If you get somebody in if it's true what Sky have said about they're going to announce somebody on Sunday, I'm not sure whether it is or not.
That, doesn't it?
But if they do and they announce somebody on Sunday, for me, if they're sure that that's the right man and they want him to announce him on Sunday and it's done, brilliant, because that he's then got, he knows the situation that we're in, that it's unlikely we're going to stop up, and he's then got a good 3 months of playing time this season to assess what's already here, the ones we're realistically going to keep, the ones that, let's be fair, we know 3 or 4 absolute certainties that won't be here next season.
That's as gutting as the manager league.
Absolutely.
Well, I think not quite, but
difficult
almost.
for me. It's like I don't know which way you go, because I just wished it was April. I think we all do, maybe with the season. But Darren Moore's a good example last season where I think we were thrown in as a bit of a stopgap, and he nearly pulled off an incredible escape. The West Brom guys were doing stuff they've never done before under, kind of.
I'm really pleased he's doing well. A young English manager doing well.
There's the danger though, isn't there, that we get, say, someone new in. So I suppose my question to you lot is: there's 16 games to go. What happens if we lose 14 of them, win 1 and draw 1? Would that
we'll go
be
down
an
with
issue
15
for you?
points.
Would that? We've been on too long. It's
better than Derby.
Jones. Yeah, it's gone to Stoke. But yeah,
I think we've looked
would
at him
that
in
bother
the past.
you? Because I don't. If it were April or May, 2 or 3 games to go, and we lost every game out Everly, but it's such a danger. Part of you thinks. Safety first, Hudson, get the ship through to the end of the season. But it goes against everything Dean has said on his statement.
I think now
it's a tough one, isn't it, mate?
that with somebody else coming in, be it Hudson, be it somebody else, that there's a way to go down now.
Swinging.
Yeah,
season
and
cards have gone on sale, Neil. People want to,
and I think that, that's why this appointment's got to be right. And all these, flicking through Twitter as we're here now, and there's people saying, David Moyes and whatever else. Goes against everything. I know he's managed at Man U and Everton and whatever else, but he's not for us now.
Preston,
he's not for us now though. It goes against everything that they've set the stall out for the last 3.5 years. We are a certain type of club now with a certain type of how we go about things.
You could kind of look at it this way,
and Moyes ain't that.
I'm only trying to play devil's advocate a bit to try and look at the other side. I agree fully with what you've said, but you look at one club as an example who have never a Premier League club, never in their history a proper Premier League club, what you would class as, and that's Crystal Palace. They got promoted with Holloway, playing great football. Holloway did some great stuff with Crystal Palace, and then they got rid of him, and what Crystal Palace did was have a series and a succession of safe managers until they went crazy with De Boer to try and establish themselves and build from there. And I don't think we can do that based where we are in the table or attract someone, but there is maybe an argument to get in someone like, I know you'll swear, but someone established like that who might be able to keep you up, and then he keeps you up again, and you build the club, and there is an argument for that. I don't agree with it, but there's an argument to say maybe we could do that.
What we can't do, for me, is go and get somebody who sees it as a chance to come in and try and keep us up, but is already thinking that if I don't, I'm off.
The thing is, that sets us back for next year.
If we do that, that's a waste of time now. That'll totally waste the rest of this season. So you've got to get somebody who's fully committed to coming in with the likelihood that we're going to play in a division lower next year. And you've got to get somebody who's coming in with an eye on that, thinking, we're building, I'm having a look now, we're looking forward to next season. Don't get me wrong, if they went on a daft run like West Brom did and we got out of it somehow, which, being realistic, it's not going to happen. But if we did...
People are going to want to know the budget though, Neil, aren't they, next season?
Absolutely, and that's...
I think a lot of town fans, I think we're going to throw massive money at because we've got these parachutes.
We what?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I would say that our budget next year, I saw something whereby, do you know when they do the price of football and our budget ended up being 21.9 because of the promotion bonuses, and they still said that was around 14th, 15th in the league. I don't know these for fact, this is not inside info, but I think our wage bill is around 50 million or so, between 50 to 55 million or so at the minute a year. Every player has a 50% reduction, so you can half that to around 25 million, and we'll lose Moy, we'll lose Congolo, we'll lose a couple of top earners, and I think it will stabilise at around 21, 22. I would imagine. I'm not Dean Hoyle, I don't know. But I just imagine that that's what we'll do because it's a sensible area while we've got parachute payments, and then it will drop the second season and drop in the third season.
Dean Oil has always said, rightly so, that he would never ever put this club at risk ever again from where we used to be. I remember shaking buckets outside Huddersfield Town Hall and outside Queen's Gate Market and what have you, begging people to give us money so we can survive as a football club. With the money we've got now, we're never ever going to risk that again. He's setting in an infrastructure that'll last us a long, long time. And, you know, the training ground, 20 million quid, brilliant investment for me, that top class investment. And that's what, it's all got to be sensible. And we've already proved that it can be done without breaking bank ridiculously so.
Gutfield, do you think we'll have someone in this time next week when we record?
I think we'll know what direction we're going.
We'll have
Did that
an
Sky
idea.
thing say appoint permanent, or did it just say appoint a manager? Because it could be.
It just said appoint after Saturday, after the game on Sunday. So
Well, the thing is, we can't keep Hudson for longer than 3 months. So you would imagine there's going to be,
unless they got special dispensation from league, which with 16 games left, that's not unreasonable to think that could happen, is it?
I had a look around to see who was available, and there were only 2 names really popped out at me, and I think both are probably massively unlikely. And that was a guy called Peter Stoger, who'd done a similar job at Cologne and then managed Dortmund and been sacked, an Austrian guy. He's unemployed, free. And the other one was Philippe Koku, who'd been at, I think it was PSV, and
somebody else mentioned him actually.
Yeah, and a tough time in Turkey, and he's come back. But I don't see them wanting to come to Huddersfield and eventually manage in the Championship.
I see why people are talking about Jukanovic, because
I don't see him.
I don't.
I'd like him.
I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying I can see why people are talking about him, because he did brilliant at Watford and he did brilliant at Fulham, and he knows that league like back of his hand. He's got promotions out of it.
I think his stock's high enough to probably get some a little bit.
Is it
with more cash?
Is it?
I think he'd get.
London,
I think he'd get
Watford,
like
Fulham, and that's really
I know what Kozi's saying. I think what he's saying is I think he'd get a Championship job like Villa or something where he's got 40 million, to throw around or whatever. So
these jobs aren't plentiful.
No, just shows.
And we can't play it down too much. We're coming out at Premier League if we go down.
Well, look at
we're
Forest.
going to have a lot. We're going to have we are going to be a well-funded club.
Forest have going Martin O'Neill. I mean, like, no one seems to have a clue. He just like stick a pin. I just hope there's a plan to what it is, rather than just someone to get a few season cards sold.
As long as Dean Oil's around running this football club, there'll always be a plan. That is a fact. And I think anybody who questions that is wrong, because he's proven over a long time that he's got the club's best interests at heart, and he's done it all the right way. And I don't see any reason why that's going to stop now in the foreseeable.
I think one thing to remember is I don't think he ever transferred the shares of the stadium and Canalside over to the club. So if for ever any reason he's not running it, he still gets to look after our interests that way, unless he decides to sell it on. But
let's hope he always has a finger in the pie.
Exactly.
Wow, the end.
So let's get your loot out, Mr. Kosmala.
I thought you said Luton Town. I remember that for next season, but
and sing us a tale of woe.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. He lived a life that's full. He travelled each and every highway. He beat Leeds 3 times. He kept us up. He did it his way. I'm not